Hey, what's up, VC? It's Steve again, Harmless Rebel, and it's time for another quick contest response. I want to apologize real quick to I missed a couple of the contests. There's just been so many of them lately, it's hard to keep up. I do like doing these contest responses because it brings attention to some new users in the VC. So that's the main thing I like about them. This one is for Captain Handlebars. He's doing a 100 subs contest, so congratulations on the 100 subs. I'll put a link down below. Please check out his channel. Please subscribe. But he wanted us to show our top 5 movie soundtracks. Now, honestly, these aren't my top 5 favorite soundtracks of all time. 2 of my favorite soundtracks of all time, you just can't get on vinyl for a good price. Actually, one of them's not even available on vinyl, and the other one goes for about $100, which I'm just not going to pay for the vinyl. I have it on CD. I'm sure it's going to be released eventually, or repressed eventually. I also didn't want to do, and one of these kind of falls into that category, but not really. I didn't want to do like A Hard Day's Night, or what is it? Is it Song Remains the Same from Zeppelin? Just because I feel like those are more albums that had movies built around them, as opposed to soundtracks to a movie. So let's just kind of jump in. This last one, some could say could fall into that category. I don't feel it does, so that's why I decided to show this. This also has my all-time favorite Jimi Hendrix song on it, which is the main reason I got this years and years ago. This is actually an original pressing of this one too. It's been reissued a bunch of times, but this is Rainbow Bridge from Jimi Hendrix. I saw the movie years ago. I want to say in the late 80s. I barely remember it. But I've always loved this soundtrack, and it introduced me to the song Hey Baby, New Rising Sun, or Land of the New Rising Sun, which has always been one of my favorite Jimi Hendrix songs. So very cool. If you guys haven't checked this one out, this is one I highly recommend checking out, especially if you're a Jimi Hendrix fan. Next one, I've shown this one before, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, when I first ran across this particular copy of it. I already had it, but I ran across a promo copy for under $10, so I grabbed it. But this is Rock and Roll High School, and just a classic soundtrack and a great movie. Obviously, you got the Ramones, who do about half of the soundtrack, but you've also got Nick Lowe. You got Brian Eno, Eddie and the Hot Rods, Brownsville Station, Smoking in the Boys' Room, Chuck Berry, who we just lost, Todd Rundgren, and School's Out from Alice Cooper. So just a killer soundtrack. And speaking of School's Out, I love the Dazed and Confused soundtrack as well. I would have shown that if I had it on vinyl. Unfortunately, I only have that one on CD at the moment. Next up, I love this movie. It's such a disappointment that there's issues with the music from the movie, because the only way you can get this is on VHS. I actually watched it a year or so ago. I believe it was on YouTube, where you can find a copy of it streaming. If you haven't seen this, this was a great movie from the late 80s, and it's called Dudes. Just a really good movie, and an amazing soundtrack. You've got Keel, the Vandals, Wasp, Megadeth. It's the Megadeth copy or cover of These Boots Are Made for Walking, which I absolutely love. Legal Weapon, The Leather Nun, Jane's Addiction. This is early Jane's Addiction. I don't remember if this is before their first album or after their first album, but this is 1985, so it's right around that time. Let me see. I'm sorry, this was 86. So their first album would have already come out. But you've also got Steve Vai on here doing Amazing Grace as well. But just awesome. But there's an issue with the music. One of the labels won't sign off on them doing a CD or I'm sorry, DVD or Blu-ray copy of this. So the only way you can get this movie is VHS, which really sucks, because it really is. It's a great movie. I actually saw it on Showtime or probably HBO, but Showtime or HBO back when it first came out. And I probably watched it a good 10 times. Anytime it was on, I was watching it. Next up, this is definitely one of my all-time favorites. I love the movie. I love the soundtrack. It doesn't get much, and this not only is this just great. My wife hates this movie, by the way, because she's seen it like 24 times with me. For a while there, I watched it all the time, and I still pop it in from time to time. But I've always loved this movie. As cheesy as it may be to some people, but there's nothing cheesy about the soundtrack, and that's Prince and the Revolution, Purple Rain. This is just an amazing album from beginning to end. I mean, there's not a bad track on here. And it always takes me back to, I remember the first time I heard When Doves Cry was at a roller skating rink. And they always had MTV on. They had the old, for you older guys, you remember the old, it was like a console, not a console, but it was a big screen TV. But it had this big old case that opened up, and it was the red, blue, and green lights that flashed off of this mirror up onto the screen. And they would always have MTV playing, and When Doves Cry, I remember seeing that there. So, and then last but not least, there was a contest a couple years ago where somebody asked us about soundtracks, and I showed this, but I didn't have it on vinyl at the time. And like I said, there's some other stuff like. I love Suburbia. Suburbia is one of my all-time favorite soundtracks. It's like $100 to get a copy of that on vinyl. What are some other ones? I don't know. Regardless, though, this has been one of my favorites. I love this movie too. This movie is absolutely phenomenal. The special effects don't hold up that well, but the acting was top-notch on here. It's got Billy Zane. You've got Jada Pinkett, Jada Pinkett at the time. Now it's Jada Pinkett Smith. And this is actually what's playing in the background right now. I don't know if you can hear it. I got to turn kind of low because there's a lot of bands on here that might get copyright strikes. But this is the soundtrack for Demon Knight. This was a Tales from the Crypt movie. I'm super happy to finally have this on vinyl because this is another one that goes for anywhere from $50 on up. This was just released within the last 2 months or so by Real Gone Music. Check out their website. They also just did the Angel Witch debut, which I showed a while ago. They've been doing some really good represses lately. This one, unfortunately, the graphics are not good. It looks like a CD was just blown up to make the picture. I don't know if you can see it here, but the night or the lettering is real pixelated, and if you look real close, you can see the little squares. But I looked at some pictures of the one that came out the year that this came out, and even original pressings look like that. So they would have had the original source files. I don't know why it came out all pixelated like this, but still, I love this album. You've got Ministry, Pantera, Biohazard, the Melvins, Machine Head, Megadeth, which is playing in the background, Diadems. You've got Policia from Sepultura, Rollins Band. Hey Man, Nice Shot was from Filter, was from this movie. I haven't liked pretty much anything else that Filter did, but that song is amazing. And then from one of my all-time favorite hip-hop albums, you've got 1-800-SUICIDE from Gravediggers. This, just like I said, a killer album from beginning to end. Go to Real Gone Music. All their stuff is real limited and it sells out fast. They did a X-Ray Specs reissue, which when I tried to buy it just a couple weeks after it came out, and it was already sold out. So a lot of their stuff, it's all usually limited to 1 to 2,000. This one's limited to 1,100, and it's on this. I don't know if you can see it. It's like shades of green and white vinyl. But just a killer soundtrack. So again, congratulations, Captain Handlebars. Again, everybody, I'll put a link down below. Make sure you check out his channel. And if you're so inclined, subscribe. Take care, VC. I'll have another video up soon.